branch of ancient Babylon, a kingdom renowned for its splendor and power, there lived a king whose name still echoes through history, Nebuchadnezzar. His reign was marked by vast conquests and unparalleled wealth, yet even this mighty ruler encountered a moment that shook him to his core. This is the story of how King Nebuchadnezzar witnessed the miraculous presence of a divine figure, an event that changed the trajectory of his understanding of power and authority. It's a tale of dreams, defiance, and deliverance, one that beckons us to consider the true source of strength in times of trial. One fateful night, Nebuchadnezzar was plagued by a haunting dream. The vividness of the vision left him restless and deeply troubled. In his desperation, he summoned the wisest men of Babylon, magicians, enchanters, astrologers, and sorcerers, to interpret the dream. Despite their skill and knowledge, none could uncover its meaning. The king's frustration grew, for he sensed that the dream held a profound significance, a message that could not be ignored. Amid the chaos, a young Hebrew prophet named Daniel stepped forward. Captured from Jerusalem during Nebuchadnezzar's conquests, Daniel had earned a reputation for his wisdom and the divine insight granted by his God. With humility and faith, Daniel sought the Lord for understanding, and God revealed the meaning of the king's dream. Daniel stood before Nebuchadnezzar and described the dream in detail. The king had seen a great statue, its head made of gold, its chest and arms of silver, its belly and thighs of bronze, its legs of iron, and its feet partly of iron and partly of clay. Then a stone not cut by human hands struck the statue, shattering it into pieces and reducing it to dust. The stone grew into a great mountain, filling the whole earth. The interpretation was clear. The statue represented a succession of kingdoms, each diminishing in splendor but increasing in strength. The golden head symbolized Babylon, the greatest of these empires, ruled by Nebuchadnezzar himself. However, the stone signified a kingdom established by the God of heaven, one that would outlast and overshadow all earthly powers. Though humbled momentarily by this revelation, Nebuchadnezzar's pride remained unshaken. Rather than heed the warning, he sought to solidify his legacy by constructing a colossal golden statue, a symbol of his greatness and authority. He decreed that all his subjects bow and worship the statue, under penalty of death by fire in a blazing furnace. Among those who refused to comply were 3 young men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Like Daniel, they were Hebrews taken captive in Babylon, and they remained steadfast in their faith in the one true God. When confronted with the king's decree, they refused to bow. Even when Nebuchadnezzar personally demanded their submission, they boldly declared, "If we are thrown into the blazing furnace, the God we serve is able to deliver us from it. But even if he does not, we want you to know, Your Majesty, that we will not serve your gods or worship the image of gold you have set up." Nebuchadnezzar's anger burned as hot as the furnace itself. He ordered it heated 7 times hotter than usual and commanded his strongest soldiers to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and cast them into the flames. The furnace was so intense that the heat killed the soldiers who carried out the king's orders. But what happened next defied all expectations. As Nebuchadnezzar gazed into the furnace, expecting to see the charred remains of the defiant men, he was struck with disbelief. Instead of 3 victims, he saw 4 figures walking freely in the flames. None appeared harmed, and the 4th figure radiated an otherworldly brilliance. Nebuchadnezzar exclaimed, "Look, I see 4 men walking in the fire, unbound and unharmed, and the 4th looks like a son of the gods." Though the text does not explicitly identify the 4th figure, many believe this to be a theophany, a pre-incarnate appearance of Jesus Christ. This divine presence protected Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego from the consuming fire, a miraculous display of God's power and faithfulness to those who trust in him. Nebuchadnezzar approached the furnace and called out to the men, urging them to come out. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego emerged unharmed, not a hair singed, nor the smell of fire on their clothes. The astonished king could not deny the miracle before him. He proclaimed, "Praise be to the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who has sent his angel and rescued his servants. They trusted in him and defied the king's command, willing to give up their lives rather than serve or worship any god except their own God." In a stunning reversal, Nebuchadnezzar issued a decree throughout his kingdom. No one was to speak against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, for no other God can save in this way. The king's pride gave way to a moment of humility as he acknowledged the supremacy of the God who could deliver from even the most impossible circumstances. This miraculous event left an indelible mark on Nebuchadnezzar's understanding of divine power. Though he continued to struggle with his pride in later years, this encounter with the God of heaven served as a poignant reminder of his own limitations and the sovereignty of the Almighty. The story of King Nebuchadnezzar witnessing Jesus, or a divine figure believed by many to be Christ, in the furnace is a powerful testament to God's presence in the midst of trials. It reminds us that faith can withstand even the fiercest flames, and that God's deliverance is both miraculous and transformative. For Nebuchadnezzar, it was a moment that redefined his understanding of power, leading him to a profound recognition of the true kings of kings. As we reflect on this story, we're challenged to consider our own lives. When faced with fiery trials, do we trust in the God who walks with us in the flames? Like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, are we willing to stand firm in our faith, even when the cost is great? And like Nebuchadnezzar, are we prepared to acknowledge the supremacy of a power far greater than our own? The ancient kingdom of Babylon may have crumbled long ago, but the lessons from Nebuchadnezzar's encounter remain timeless. They call us to a faith that endures, a trust in a God who delivers, and a humility that recognizes his sovereignty over all.